Since the new update dropped, we've seen many images like this, or this, and many posts like this one which was already deleted. France was allegedly destroyed in 1.3, but what if I told you none of this is true? Tinto decided to lower the French subject loyalty by 20 and 25 with different modifiers to represent the disloyalty of the Appanages during the 100 Years' War in real life. However, because of other 1.3 changes, France now is actually stronger than ever in EU5, so if you wanna play a game as France, I'll show you the best way to do it. Before starting, remember leaving a like and subscribe if you really like this content and want to see more of it. But now, enough with the yapping, so let's make this our man and get it going. Okay, so there we are as France, and I know it doesn't look good because we're losing a lot of money and no one is loyal, but don't worry because we're going to fix it very easily. The first thing we're going to do is to cancel all of our trades because as you can see we're only losing money because of it. Just go into the markets tab and cancel every single trade in every single market, just like this. If you want you can leave it automated or disable it and do not get anything from trade because it doesn't matter that much, trade is now in a very bad position in 1.3. You can of course re-enable the automation or just go into the market and trade whatever you want, it's up to you. But be sure to check it every 2 to 3 months because, as I said, trade isn't in a good position right now, it usually makes you lose money. Now to keep saving money we're going to delete every single castle we have besides the one in Paris. And the next thing we want to do is our diplomatic setup, so we're going to increase our diplomatic spending to the maximum to know who is going to stay loyal and who isn't. As you can see, Brittany is disloyal, which is a big problem, so we're going to start improving their opinion of us. And then you have to choose 2 more countries from this list to keep loyal. I recommend Armagnac and Narbonne, but you can do any other country. The reason why I recommend them is because after we annex Aquitaine, they're going to become the dominant nations of the Gascon and Languedocian cultures, which as you can see are much more expensive to accept than the Champenois or the Picard cultures. So of course we want them to be loyal to be able to improve their cultural opinion of us. Now we're going to delete our navy because we're not going to navally invade anyone. And then we have to select our rivals. I'm going to do Navarre and Provence, but it doesn't really matter who you choose. As you can see we also have this unintegrated province, which happens to be a core of Flanders, so we're going to give it back to them. And speaking about locations, most of them are in the core because we haven't accepted their culture, so this is something very important to do as France. The first cultures we want to accept are Poitevin, Picard, Berrichon, Bourguignon, Champenois and Languedocian. However, as you can see we can't accept all of them because we don't have enough prestige to do so keep an eye on that, and as soon as you get 5, accept the next culture on the list. Be also aware of your cultural capacity because even if you have many cultures in your country you can't accept all of them. This is the reason why we're not going to accept Auvergnat and Limousin. At least not on the early game. Once we get enough cultural capacity we're going to accept them as well. And Gascon is the most special culture. We of course want to accept it, but first we want to fully annex Aquitaine to be able to improve their cultural opinion with us by having good relations with Armagnac. I know that was a lot of information, but it's the key to succeed as France. Now I'll keep it simple with the rest of our setup, so we're going to take peace and connections, because we want to save money. This is our cabinet setup, we're going with diplomatic reputation to make our subjects loyal faster, we're going with strengthening the government, because legitimacy is expensive, and we're going to get more communalism to be able to remove all of these noble privileges. As you can see the nobles are incredibly powerful, so this is also why we're not going to employ any noble in our cabinet. And now this is the most important thing in our setup, we're going to do the estate setup. So the first thing we're going to do is to use our estate actions to lower our estate satisfaction, and then we're going to give them privileges. With the nobles we're going to perform a reduction, then we're going to ask them for more taxes, and then we're going to get 5 more diplomats, which we can use to improve the opinion of other disloyal subjects. We're also going to take more levies from the burghers, and we're going to take some money from them. Now for the commoneers we're only going to take 20 stability. From the clergy, however, we only want to get 15 legitimacy, but if we did it right now we would only get 4. So before getting that legitimacy we're going to give 3 privileges to the commoneers. Those are going to be common militias, then free mobility for the common people, and the third one is up to you. I'm taking autonomous villages, but commoners in the administration and represented in parliament are also fine, so it's up to you. Now we're taking the 15 legitimacy from the clergy, and then do the rest of our state setup. I'll write a list so you can pause the video and see what I've taken. It is very important to follow the order of the list because otherwise you could get a civil war. Now let's perform a last reduction, this time on the burghers, and it's finally time to unpause. Shortly after you will get this event and it is very important to take the first option. This way you'll be able to accept every culture you were missing. And on top of that you will also get cores in all of Aquitaine, which is the main reason why we picked the first option. And getting cores in Aquitaine will also trigger the 100 Years War, which will also lower the loyalty of some of your subjects like Flanders, so be aware of that and start improving their opinion of you. And the 100 Years War also gives you a chance to get this event, which is very important. In this event, some of your vassals will ask you to become your appanage instead of a normal vassal, which can be good, but it can also be bad, let me explain. Appanages make you lose crown power, which isn't good, but they also give you legitimacy, which is actually good. Appanages are also much slower to annex than a normal vassal, but it isn't a big deal, and on top of that you can inherit them if the ruler dies without a heir. So in the end it's up to you, but I feel like this is a good deal, so I'm going to make Brittany an appanage. They also became loyal because of this, by the way. This is another event that always happens, it's called the Scots King in Exile, and to be honest, all these three options are expensive and do nothing, so I would go with the last one, which does nothing, but doesn't cost nothing either. Something that's also good from the 100 Years War situation is that your disloyal subjects will sometimes have demands like this one, and you can reject them for a little legitimacy boost. At some point during the first year of the game you will also get this event called It Is Time for War, and you have to click on the first option, which will declare a war on England. Now this war is very easy, it is so easy you don't even need to raise your levies. Of course you can do it, but there is no need to do so. You only need to make your subjects move together and beat the English armies on France. Ideally you would like to stack wipe Aquitaine and siege down Bordeaux. Usually you don't even need to keep an eye on the English armies because your subjects can take care of them for you. That said, money isn't a joke, you will need to loan up at least once before finishing the war. So using your first parliament to get more taxes isn't a bad idea. This is one of the events that can happen during the 100 Years War, it's called turncoats. When that happens you only click on the first option and one of the English subjects or allies is going to leave the war. When this event, Princess of the Blood, happens, you have to click on the first option. The other two are useless now. They were good when the game released, but not anymore, so go for the first one. When you siege down Bordeaux, you should be able to finish the war, and this is what you should take. Every core that was owned by Aquitaine, these two locations from the strait, money, war reparations, and if you feel like invading England at some point, you can also make them dismantle their fort in London. Then you can send a demand. Now you can pay your loans and stabilize your economy. Remember, making Armagnac improved the Gascon cultural opinion of the Francian people, and then you can accept the Gascon people. You can also delete your army now because you don't need them anymore. When you get to the age of the Renaissance, you should take administrative focus because of local infrastructure. Money will be an issue for a very long time, but every 5 years you can do some things to help your country, like getting more stability from the commoneers, to be able to remove some of these urban rights which are hurting your production. Then you can also ask the burghers for some money, which you can invest to make your economy a little better. You can also grant 3 urban rights and take that legitimacy back from your clergy. But again, you can only do that every 5 years. But what will actually help you the most is lowering your diplomatic spending. Of course, some subjects will be disloyal, but as long as they don't start an independence movement, it is completely fine. Just keep an eye on your truce with England, because if you don't have a truce with England and have disloyal subjects, then they can defect to England, which is something we don't want to happen. But by the time your truce with England is over, you need to have a stable economy. So keep investing in these 3 locations. And keep requesting additional taxes to be able to fund your investments, with the most important one being a local governor in Bordeaux. However, you first need to build a road that goes from Bordeaux to Paris without going through 3 subjects. Speaking about money, at some point you will get this event called the Delphinal Statute. You'll need to loan up to take the first option, but it's definitely worth it, because this is going to give you a union over the Dauphiné. And once your ruler passes, you're most likely going to inherit Normandy and Anjou. So this is going to help you a lot economically speaking. Not only because you'll be able to pay the loan, but also because now your subjects will be more loyal, so you'll be able to spend less on diplomatic spending, allowing you to finish the road and build a local governor in Bordeaux. You can then also build a royal garden and a chancery in Paris, which are very important, mostly because you'll be able to improve the opinion of more subjects to keep them loyal. Now we got the Black Death, and you can do whatever you want, but what I usually do is presenting scapegoats. I don't do anything else. However, this time it's different. Because as I said, as France you need to prioritize communalism to be able to remove all these noble privileges. So you're going to expel the sick to get more communalism. If you've done everything right, by the time the Black Death leaves your country, you should be in this position. Having communalism at around 40%, having completed your local governor in Bordeaux, and with your diplomatic spending at around 50%, all your appanages and fiefdoms should be already loyal. Of course, making your vassals loyal is harder because of their combined country strength, but as soon as you start annexing some, like Blois for example, this combined country strength will become lower and their loyalty will become higher, which is a sign of a stable country. As you can see, we only have one disloyal vassal now. And when you have a stable country, you can start investing to make everything better, so we're going to get construction speed and max our geosize in rural. And well, we're also going to take institution growth to be able to get the renaissance faster. But anyway, advances aren't the most important thing. The most important thing is to start investing in becoming bigger and stronger. That's why we built 2 ships to be able to push towards naval and get a naval governor. That's why we're not going to use our parliament to get more taxes anymore. Instead, we're going to change some laws and get claims like this one to start expanding somewhere else. Let me declare this war real quick, there is no way to lose this. And in the meantime, I'll keep building bridges, roads, RGOs and whatever helps my country. And of course, I'm also spying on England to be able to get a destroy enemy casus belli. This is because the destroy enemy casus belli lets you take land in England, while the 100 Years War casus belli doesn't let you do it. And by the way, we also won the war, so we're going to release Catalonia and Navarre as vassals to be able to get claims on Castile and Aragon. You know what else can you do once everyone is loyal? You can start using your diplomats to improve the opinion of the HRE electors. Not because you want them to vote for you, because that's not going to happen, but you can always ally the electors, get favors and then bribe them to vote for you. This way you'd become the HRE emperor, and we all know what that means. It means if you're patient enough, even without focus on it, you can annex all of Central Europe for free. And while you do it, you can still expand in Britain by using your destroy enemy casus belli on England, on Iberia by using your subject claims, and on Italy once the Italian war starts. So this means if you play as France, you can take half of Europe for basically free. And if this isn't overpowered, then I don't know what is. And by the way, you don't even need to min-max that much to stabilize your country, because even if you fail to do so, you can still get a lot of money once the Western Schism happens. See, we're getting more than 30 ducats a month just for existing as long as this situation is happening. Now we can use all that money to build up even more our economy. There we are, we also annexed Blois, so we can click there, wait for 1 month tick. And now we have to make one of the most important decisions so far. Who are we going to annex next? To decide it, we're going to open the proximity map mode, and as you can see, we're lacking proximity there and there. So this means we would like to place our governor either there, there or there. Because of the rivers, the topography, the vegetation and the climate, the best location to put our governor in Brittany or around Brittany would be Nantes. If you want to place it in Nantes, then you of course need to annex Brittany. If instead we wanted to focus in southeast France, we can of course do that as well, but to do it we would need to place a governor in Nîmes for example, but that would force us to expand into Provence and Savoy, which is something we don't want to do, as it doesn't make much sense to get more land if you don't have as much control as you could have in the land you already own. So this leaves us with this region, and if we wanted to place a governor there, we would do it in Nevers. Again, all these regions have good rivers, good topography, good vegetation, good climate, good RGOs, good population, and even good development. So all of these three options are good. But in my opinion, Nantes and Nevers are slightly better than Nîmes. Now, once we get to 50 naval, we're also going to take harbor administration, meaning that we will probably be able to get proximity in Nantes from Bordeaux, so we're going to take Nevers. So I'm going to start the annexation already. Our truce with England is also over, so we're going to declare the war. And that's it pretty much. We stagwaved their armies in northern France, and we got to cross the strait with some levies using a mercenary fleet. So let's see if we can sit down London. Well, maybe not. Let's try to slowly move more troops to England. I think this would be enough. Let me see. There it is. This is the pistol we're going for. We're taking pretty much all the land in southeastern England and Cornwall, because why not? Just like this, we could now start painting Britain and make it blue. Or we could do it in Iberia. It doesn't really matter because our subjects can win any war for us. We can even go for back-to-back wars and still win all of them. This is what we're taking from Aragon, just so we can release Valencia. And this is what we're taking from Castile. And this is how, in 3 years, we have defeated every rival we had, and we're slowly making Europe become blue. I hope you now understand why France is stronger than ever despite having its subject loyalty lowered. It is because they fixed subject loyalty, and now having loyal subjects is easier for everyone, including France. And on top of that, they also slowed the economy. Look at this, it takes 150 ducats to expand one RGO. It is common sense. If you nerf every country, then the ones that were strong are going to stay stronger. And if you buff every country, the ones that were strong are going to become even stronger than the ones that weren't. So now, after watching this guide, whatever your goals are in your France campaign, you should be able to complete them very easily. Thank you so much for watching, with special thanks to my channel member Thomas Temperley. I'll see you on the next one, bye bye.